Hey squaddies, and welcome to Thriving with the Sussexes. My name is Deanna and I'm here to record on all things Sussex. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's get on with it. Hey squaddies, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you're listening. Hello. Be sure to check out memberships. You can join if you're interested. And just like with all my information, I'll put it in the description box. Thanks. I can't believe that I forgot to add in Reverend Sharpton talking to the British press about their mistreatment of Meghan on the second to the last podcast. Like, he literally defended her like he always does. So about a couple of weeks ago, Reverend Sharpton, I think it's Sharpton. So about a couple of weeks ago, the Reverend Sharpton visited Good Morning Britain and was asked about Duchess Meghan's treatment as a woman of black descent, marrying into the very white institutional British royal family. The Reverend said what he said. he pretty much spoke the truth. The U.S. civil rights leader has defended Meghan and said she was subjected to racist abuse since joining the welfare royals. When asked about the reaction of the UK media to Meghan joining that family, Sharpton, I'll let you hear what he said.
You know, I think that when they were married, it was a beautiful day.
Right.
And people were celebrating how you saw this woman of color now in the royal family, gospel songs sung at the ceremony, the Queen sitting there. And then the reaction was so much acrimony and just looking to treat her differently. And people, whether you in the UK or around the world, that was always treated differently, understood what Meghan was going through. It was somebody black working in the C-suites for the first time, and they treat you differently. Or someone walking down the street, and I think she became a symbol not of her own making. When you see the kind of mean-spirited article this guy wrote, for no reason, drag her through the streets and all. Yeah, fine, you can apologize, and many of us have said things not at that level that we could apologize for, but what makes you feel that you can say that in the first place?
Right.
And I think that in many ways, they exposed what was already there, and then people tried to blame Meghan for they are being exposed.
And even with that detailed explanation, the British media will still see nothing wrong with their racist actions. And not because it makes them tons of money, but it's the fact that they don't see their actions as racist or bigotry. Look at Brexit and how that was handled. So, yeah, they have a racist and xenophobic problem over there. Media or no media, and unfortunately for them, they will never take accountability for their actions. I mean, we can call them out on it, just like we call out every racist and bigot out there, but it's up to them to acknowledge it and take accountability. We're still trying to do that here in the U.S. Yeah, keep on calling them out. Keep questioning them, keep challenging them. They're going to try to block some more, but they can't block everybody. There's this article on Washington Post about race, and I highly recommend reading it if you haven't done so already. There's also an audio option if you're too busy to read. So, the read was pretty good, and it was about different mixed race and very fair-skinned black women sharing some of their experiences on how they're treated based on how they're seen. Like one woman mentioned about getting a ticket from a cop who, I guess he looked past the fact that that she has really curly hair, and he just thought that she was a white woman with curly hair because he rolled on a ticket white woman. I mean, usually curly hair is a giveaway, but I don't know. I mean, it depends on the person. So yeah, this woman, she was adopted by her white mother and Mexican father, and all her life she felt lost within herself until recently taking a DNA test. I'm assuming she took the DNA ancestry, and that's how she found out that her dad is black with Nigerian and Congolese ancestry. which for her was a relief because now she knew who she truly is. And that ancestry, I tell you, that could be a blessing or a curse. It depends on the person, because yeah. So yeah. Anyway, the topic of white passing that was also brought up, and it's interesting to me because so many fair-skinned black people or mixed people, they chose this route for a better life. How do I know? Because so many white people who also take the DNA ancestry, who end up learning that they have a much higher percentage of African or black in their results. And I knew somebody who was very disappointed in that. They did not know that they were like 25% black. Like, how do you not know? But then they have black ancestors. It was crazy. Now, this actor, he wasn't disappointed. Joe Manganiello, he had recently found out that he himself has black ancestry through his great-grandfather, after thinking he was otherwise his entire life.
Joe, these are some of the documents we gathered for the three Cutler brothers. Now, would you please read what they all say about the three men's race?
Okay. Negro, white, Negro, white, of African descent, white.
Joe, it seemed to us that the Cutlers may have been light-skinned African-American men.
Well, that's interesting.
That means, Joe Cutler, that you would, under the one-drop rule, be an African-American.
Boy, now that's really interesting.
It is really interesting.
Interesting indeed. I have a link to this particular episode in the description box. If you want to check it out, go ahead. It's in the description box. I will label it and everything. And it's a really good episode. But I have a question for him. And I know that he doesn't know that I exist or this channel exists, but the question is, would he have also passed? Because I'm looking at him and he's a very handsome man, of course. There's no denying that. Very good looking. But he looks like he's mixed with something, you know? He looks multicultural, which he is. That's what he is. But it's just interesting, like the whole race and genetics, and it's crazy. What's mind-boggling for me is that, like, when I'm looking at these old pictures of these white people who say they're black, and like I never got that. Like at first, like when I was younger, I was like, why are these white people saying they're black? Like in all these pictures. I didn't even think about the one drop rule. I don't even think I talked about it in school. I learned about the one drop rule in high school. My African American teacher, African American history teacher, he really went. He pretty much told everything about stuff that I've never even thought of. Like, and God bless him, like, because a lot of the stuff that I see on TikTok nowadays, like a lot of new information that people are receiving, I learned in high school thanks to my history teacher, my African American history teacher. And of course, I know I learned a lot from my parents as well, but the whole one drop thing, maybe I didn't pay attention to them when they were talking about it. So when I asked them about it, they pretty much said the same thing he told the class. So I'm like wow, like that is crazy. Like, and kind of sad. I felt bad actually, because you could be walking around with blonde hair and blue eyes and pale skin, and just because your grandparent or great grandparent is black, you're black. It's like, You can even say that you're mixed race. You have to be black. You can't say that you're half white. You gotta say you're black. Like, that's just crazy and incredibly unfair. And from what I remember, a lot of those, so it was a lot of laws that was like associated with the whole, with the mixed child being born. If one of the parents are black, then they're black. They can claim anything from a white parent. That was like the first set of rules, like the hereditary slave law rules, like made up some ridiculously oppressed laws, just basically to put people in their place. They were against race mixing. They was all about keeping things pure and white, and the enactment of the hereditary slave law that was just the first step in being in control. And the whole Elizabeth Key case really triggered them. Like, okay, she was a biracial woman, her child was biracial, they have white fathers, so I guess they were trying to put them into slavery or servant. No, yeah, it was slavery, I think. And she's like, well, my father, he was a wealthy Englishman who acknowledged me, and he raised me in my upbringing to being a Christian woman. I was baptized under the American branch of the Church of England. So I am not a slave. I'm a free woman. I'm a free Christian woman at that. Both myself and my son, because my son was born for me. So he automatically has his right to be free as well. And she won her case. This is before 1662, the hereditary slave law. So she won her case, and yeah, it triggered a lot of people of a certain group. Because they're like, how dare this, well, you know what word they use, but they were like, how dare this black woman use the law to protect her and her rights and her child's rights? It isn't supposed to work that way. Hadn't she deemed herself as a Christian woman? So of course, to prevent that from happening again, they changed the law in 1662, the hereditary slave law. So any child born from the black mother, I should say, slave mother, is born of that status. No more freebies. And of course, this law was, it was pretty much it gave like these men like permission to just breed these women like they were just wild animals. Like, either they would do it with SA, because that they pretty much legally, they own these women, they own the slaves, so they can do whatever they want with them. They can make more slaves with these women, or they can sell these slaves, or they could force others, forcing one slave and another slave to make this quote unquote super slave. There's sick stuff, like, and then they'll watch too. And then they put, religion into it, like always. Christianity, who's a Christian, who's not a Christian. It's like, okay, like, who gives you the right to tell somebody who's what and who's what? Like, you're not God. And then the classism, telling the poor whites that, hey, you may not make as much money as I do, but it's better than being black. And you need to associate yourself with those people. All that stuff. But yes, partus sequitur ventrum. Now I want to use one more example, and that's with Amanda America Dickson, who, thanks to the 14th Amendment, was able to inherit her white father's inheritance. He left her pretty much everything, and he was able to do that through the 14th Amendment, which states that property rights are equal for blacks and whites, including the offspring of black and white citizens. And of course, his racist family was not happy about it, like his brother and everything like that. And they try to, contest it and go against it, but didn't work out for them. Amanda won anyway, and that was that. And that was a rare and unique occurrence, because Her mother, who's about 12 or 13 years older than her, was this black slave girl named Julia, and her dad was this much older, very wealthy. I believe he was the wealthiest plantation owner in that county. I forgot the name of the county. I believe it was Hancock County in Georgia. I could be wrong. He was the richest man in that county, so he was also the most powerful man in that county, and he got away with a lot of stuff that I guess wasn't considered normal back then. I mean, even though he loved his daughter very much, I think he's a creep to me. Going after a little girl, a little 12-year-old girl like that, and she had to pretty much give birth when she was 13. Like, I feel poor Julia. I'll say I feel more bad. I feel bad for her because, like, even though from what I heard he took care of her very well, but it just doesn't. Ugh. I first found out about Amanda Dickson through the movie called A House Divided, and that movie came out in the early 2000s, I think. And I know you can watch it on YouTube because I watched it on YouTube, and I'm gonna have the link to that movie, to that movie, and I'm also gonna give you a link to TikTok with a historian who knows in great detail of Amanda Dickson, as well as her mother Julia Dickson and father David Dickson. The whole, like, that lady, she knows everything everything about that family and that whole town, that time period, everything. Like, she's a historian, so of course she's going to spend pretty much the majority of her time learning stuff from yesteryear. And I'll just continue sharing more links. There's this other movie I saw called I Pass for White. Don't ask me how I found that movie. It's one of those cases where it found me. It's about this biracial girl from Chicago. She lives with her biracial family, and she looks like a white girl. And she doesn't think that it's fair that she has to, that she can't be just black and white. She has to choose the side, and she eventually leaves her black ancestry family from Chicago and to go to New York as a white woman, and she ended up marrying this very horny white man from a very wealthy white family, and she had to, like, just keep on I guess making up lies about who her mother is and who her family is, and it just ends up being a whole big mess because she keeps having to lie and then cover for another lie. And she has a really good friend. Like, her friend knows she's passing. Her friend is a white woman. She knows she's passing, and she's helping her as best as she can. And the maid, she's a very, very pretty maid. She knows that she's passing as well, but she's not going to just blurt her out and expose her. That's a dangerous, situation, to just out somebody like that. And I'm pretty sure that the story would have been interesting if it came out after the Loving versus Virginia. Anywho, I highly recommend that movie as well. I will have the link in the description box, as I've said before. So this whole thing about race and privilege and class had me thinking about the alleged celebrities or figures who allegedly pass as whites. And what do you all think? And on the flip side, we have the actresses who refuse to pass as whites, such as Freddie Washington and Lena Horne. They were told, if you pass, you will have a guaranteed successful career in Hollywood. And their response? No, thank you. So wrapping up, so the women in this article brought up great points, and unfortunately for our girl Meghan, she definitely had to learn the hard way on racism, privilege, as well as classism. And somewhat off topic, but can you believe that working women were once looked down upon? Like, if any man of any, like, royal blood or higher standing life, I don't know, upper class life, like, had an interest in marriage to a woman who actually had to clean up behind herself, it was like blasphemy. It was just crazy. That was crazy. But yes, for Meghan, it was a whole learning experience that opened her eyes as well as Harry's. Like all of us, they're living while learning, and that's what makes us human. We're all a working progress.
I don't know how many times must I tell you not to touch me or my hands.
But Meghan used to touch Harry's hands.
It's just too much. Pretending to like you is already hard enough.
I gave you a love tap.
Is that what that was? I thought you were swatting flies off me.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out,
Ugh, this again.
breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in.
You've never been a good husband, always finding ways to avoid me.
And what is it with those black gloves? Do you have to copy Meg every chance you get?
If Meghan can't wear gloves, then I don't see why I can't.
There's a time and a place for everything. You fail every time.
Ah!
What was that awful noise? Oh, it's you two again. What are you doing in my office?
Babe is being ridiculous.
You look ridiculous. Who wears black gloves with that dress?
Rose wore black gloves.
Keep her name out of your filthy mouth.
My filthy mouth. You have butter teeth.
I do not. Pa, is this true? Tampon, baby. The Tampons Pose Company has agreed to sponsor your coronation if you would... Oh, you have visitors. No luck on finding relevant musical performers? Adele and Sharon said no. And even Snoop Dogg refused my offer. I even went as far as to ask some rapper named Drake. Whoever that character is.
I can always stand in. I shall play God Save the King.
I'm sure you'll be much too busy with your children, and
I insist.
I don't. You will if no one accepts your invitations. Even Howard and Meghan hasn't responded. Good. You only signed it because you don't want to be outshined by Harold. Harold and that American hussy would outshine us all if they end up showing up. I want them to show up. It would bring in more money for all of us.
I wonder what...
Meghan.
will be wearing. How will she wear her hair?
I'll be sure to accidentally spill a drink on it.
Ha. Ha. Ha.
Oh. Was that supposed to be a laugh?
Is that supposed to be a hairline?
All of you, out of my office, at once.
And that's it for this podcast. And may all your days be filled with blue skies, sunshines with positive vibes. I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Also, join a membership. I have the link inside the description box. My name is Deanna, and you are watching Thriving with the Successes. Talk to you soon.